Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing your ex will come back if I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing your ex will come back if... So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you will want to know how to achieve this. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 elements which mean you will very likely get your ex back. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is you have a USP. So if you're not familiar what a USP is, it stands for unique selling point, and ordinarily this is something that people would connect with products and or connected within businesses. Now today we're going to be connecting the term USP to relationships, and more importantly to you, and the vital importance that you as a dumpee have a USP. If you don't have a USP, then what this means is that you are not going to stand out from the crowd, and your ex-dumper ended the relationship and now are heading towards a different path. They're walking down a different route. They're not going down the journey that they were once with you. This is different, this is new, and there are going to be different and new opportunities ahead of them. So you need to be making sure that your USP is something which is so strong, it makes your ex think of you in the time that you're no longer with one another. So let's look at this in a bit more depth. When I say USP, as I said, we're talking about unique selling point. And although everybody on the planet is unique, not everybody will have a unique selling point. Lots of people will have unique points about them, which are certainly not going to, quote unquote, sell them to somebody else. If anything, it's going to be something which puts people off, because some people are going to have unique elements about themselves which are negative. They're going to have unique elements about themselves which are not attractive. So you need to be making sure that you have a USP, a unique selling point. So yes, we're all unique. Yes, we're all different. But you need to be making sure that you have a selling point which is different to everybody else. You need to be making sure that you're not just the same when it comes to the better elements of yourself, and making sure that if you do have a unique point about you, that it's not something which is negative. Now, going back just a touch, when I said you need to make sure your selling point is unique, it's because sometimes we might have a good trait, but it doesn't really differentiate ourselves from anybody else. Maybe, for instance, you're somebody who feels that you're in really good physical shape. Now, that is, of course, very positive. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't be in good physical condition. Of course you should. But is that enough of a unique selling point? If you are somebody who is really good with your health and your fitness, you look fantastic when you look in the mirror, everybody compliments you physically, is that a unique selling point? I would suggest not. I would say, yes, it's good, yes, it's important, but is it really unique? Because I would suggest that you could probably walk through a city and there are going to be many people who are also in great physical condition. Now, this doesn't mean that you, like I said, shouldn't be prioritizing this as something which is important, because you should. It's excellent to be in good physical condition, good for your health, and it is attractive. But we need more. I'm talking about unique selling point. I'm talking about more than the standard things that we could be thinking about. I'm talking about, in essence, your personality, what makes you special, what makes you different, what makes you unique within a selling point. As I said earlier, some people have unique points which are negative. They might have a point about them which is unique, but unfortunately, it's going to put people off. It's not going to be something which is going to sell them, quote unquote, to their ex or to a new partner. So what I want you to be doing is really focusing hard on what makes you, what makes you different in a positive way, which could almost sell yourself if you were a product. Now, if you can't think of anything, if you don't believe you have a unique selling point, this is where you can become creative and think about how you can gain a unique selling point. Because what's really good about this is if you don't feel you have anything that stands out, you can develop that side of your personality. Now, maybe this means you need to join a new class group or club and really enhance your mindset in a different way. I'll give you just a very quick example. Maybe, for instance, you want to learn a new skill, a new creativity, such as going to a pottery class. Now, pottery classes are probably not going to be as common as going to the gym, but it's more likely to make you unique within your friendship group. Maybe it's going to make you unique within anybody that your ex will meet or know or potentially find in the future. Now, obviously, other people at this pottery class are going to have that interest the same as you. But if this is something that you wouldn't normally think of doing, then this suggests that within your friendship group and the circles your ex might move in, this might be unique. So, of course, we're not talking about something which nobody else has ever thought of ever, but we're trying to make you stand out amongst the crowd of the people that your ex might potentially meet and the people that your ex might come across on their new journey, on their new path. Now, obviously, they're doing new things themselves, but are they going to be going outside of a box that far? Probably not. They're probably going to be playing it somewhat safe to their hobbies and interests, might be trying a few things new, but maybe they're not going to be going as far afield as I'm suggesting there. Now, you might be listening and thinking, well, I already go to pottery class. Well, if that's the case, then of course you need to be thinking of something even different. Now, this is just one example. There's a million trillion examples of what we could think of, but please remember, you need a unique selling point. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And point number 2 is you stop being negative. So when somebody has been dumped, as sadly yourself has, it is very natural to feel negative. It's something which is very understandable, and I would suggest that everybody is going to go through these feelings. You're experiencing feelings and sensations similar to a combination of grief and drug withdrawal. You will be going through the stages of grief. So feeling negative goes hand in hand with being dumped, with being rejected. So feeling this way is understandable, but it's so important that you don't get stuck, okay? Because when we're talking about how to try to get an ex back, it's absolutely vital that you move forward in a positive way. So when I say you stop being negative, this also means, and hence, you start being positive. If you want to try to get your ex back, you're not going to do it from a place of negativity. You're not going to get your ex back by being angry. You're not going to get your ex back by being bitter. Now, you might feel this way, and I'm not even here to say that this is quote unquote wrong, because I think you do need to go through all of these feelings, all of these emotions, as long as you can make sure that you're going through them in a healthy way and you're discussing your emotions and feelings with trusted friends, trusted family members, maybe a local doctor, maybe you want to speak with myself even through my audio coaching service. But whatever your situation is, as long as you're processing your feelings in a natural way, it is understandable that you're going to be feeling negative and you need to kind of release that emotion in a safe way. But if you remain negative in an active, obvious way, if you bump into your ex and you give them a real bad look, maybe you say some really bad words, maybe you're typing on social media things that in the future you might regret, how on earth can you honestly think you can get your ex back? How can you get your ex back if you're not somebody that your ex wants to spend time with? I always say, if you want to get your ex back, you need to be the type of person that other people want to spend time with, whether it's your ex, whether it's somebody new. So this is why you need to stop being negative and start being positive. And I say stop being negative because I can almost guess within everybody listening here, but at some stage, and maybe right now, you are feeling negative, you're acting negative, you are being negative, and anybody who comes across you will feel the negative vibe. That is why I'm saying you need to stop this now. Now, maybe right now isn't realistic, but if you really comprehend that you need to let go of that negativity, you can take the steps to try and help yourself move through this dark, bleak tunnel and into a brighter, happier mindset. And often that begins with talking about your feelings and emotions, like I said, with whoever you decide to do it with. But please make sure you're not speaking to people who might instantaneously pass this information on to your ex. So yes, family, yes, friends, yes, a local doctor, yes, myself, but please not to somebody who is going to pass this info on to your ex. So if you have a mutual friend, that is not a good option in my opinion. If you stop being negative, then there is every chance you can get your ex back if you combine it with point number 1 about having a unique selling point, what we're going to be speaking about very, very shortly in point number 3. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about your ex will come back if, and point number 3 is if you're their best option. So as we've said already in today's podcast, your ex, the dumper, has chosen a different path, and they will be presented with new opportunities. Like I said earlier, these possibilities that your ex might come across will have their own unique elements. Now, whether or not these are good, unique selling points, or whether or not they're unique points which are actually fairly negative, your ex is going to come across new people. It doesn't mean they're going to date anybody else. It doesn't mean if they do date somebody that they can't date you again in the future. What we can say, though, is that they will likely come across new people in different ways. It doesn't mean they're looking for them. It might mean they just come across them in their place of work or whatever it may be. Now, your job is to become your ex's best option. And how do you do this? Well, you combine the unique selling point of point number 1. You start behaving in a positive way and stop being negative in point number 2. And for point number 3, when we really round this up to becoming their best option, it's all about respect. It's about listening to your ex, acknowledging their wishes that they no longer want to be in a relationship with you right now, and making sure you don't chase them away even further. I've never known anybody chase something for that to come towards them. If you chase something, it gets further away. If you chase something, it runs away. If you chase your ex by bombarding them with texts, calls, whatever it may be, they are very unlikely to turn around and say, hey, yes, I've made a mistake. Let's get back together. You know, you've got to be their best option in every single way. And if you discover your unique selling point, if you behave in a positive way, if you respect what they have said, listen to hear that they have told you to please leave them alone. If you combine these things, then when you live your life to the full, which will connect with point number 1, doing your own thing, making sure you make your own new connections, practicing your perishable skills, such as communication skills, maybe even dating skills, meeting and dating new people yourself, this is going to put you in the best possible position for if and when your ex does bump into new people. Because when they do, they're subconsciously or maybe even consciously going to be comparing them to you. And although the memory of you towards the end of your relationship might not have been a great shining star, because unfortunately the relationship broke down, they will remember you positively as time ticks by when they focus on the relationship as a whole. The fading effect bias dictates that negative memories fade sooner over time in comparison to positive memories. What this means in this instance is that as time moves forward from your breakup, your ex will look back on your relationship with, you might say, rose-tinted glasses, or you could argue with genuine sight. Yes, unfortunately your relationship broke down, but it doesn't mean it was all bad. Maybe it was only a couple of elements. And even if things weren't great towards the end, the fading effect bias will help your ex see the relationship as a whole and remember the positive memories more so. So we're going to be comparing any new option with you and your prior relationship. If you respect them, listen to them, behave in a way which is attractive, be positive, have a unique selling point, it's unlikely that your ex is going to find anybody who stands up to the person that you are in their mind. It's unlikely that somebody that has a unique point is not going to have any negativity at all. Yes, they might meet somebody new who has a unique selling point, but is it going to stand up to yours? Is it going to be something that they really think is going to be a better option than you and the memories you had that the fading effect bias helps develop in their mind? They now know you're being positive and not negative through friends of friends, through social media. They've seen the new things you were trying, and your unique selling point, if they didn't know it already, is now starting to become clearer from the information they likely hear from those friends of friends and social media again. Maybe this is something new, maybe this is something they've always known, but I would suggest that if you put points 1, 2, and 3 together, and you are the best option overall, then this is something which is going to be very hard to beat, and why I believe your ex will come back if you combine all of these points. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.